Subnautica is about to make a major comeback. After the recent reveal of the Subnautica 2 trailer, it has injected some much needed life back into the community. And what gets me so excited is that this time we're not getting more of the same, but everything is going to be brand new and fresh for us to enjoy. This includes a brand new planet, new creatures, new storyline, new horrors, an actual proper sequel to Subnautica that we deserve. Hello everyone, my name is Primacon and today I want to talk about 5 things that Subnautica 2 needs to get right if it wants to surpass its predecessor in every way imaginable. Because I believe this game has potential to go way further beyond than Subnautica 1 and Below Zero, and ignite itself a new legacy and relevance that Subnautica hasn't enjoyed since 2018. If you also happen to be looking to purchase Subnautica or Below Zero to try for yourself before the sequel drops, you can do so by the help of today's video sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is trusted by tens of thousands of video gamers and is gonna bring you authorized, authentic keys for your favorite video games at a very low price. Right now, you can get yourself Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero both for 30% off each. Even on Instant Gaming, this game is rated a 10 out of 10, and playing Subnautica for $22.70 is a steal in my opinion. And if you purchase both the games together, you can get the Deep Ocean Bundle for $44.91, for which you get to enjoy both Subnautica and Below Zero on Steam. Subnautica 2 listing is already up on Instant Gaming and you can get yourself notified for when the pre-orders go live. That way you can also get Subnautica 2 at a discount. Check the link down below to get yourself a deal. Thank you so much Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. At number 5, it's the Subnautica Sandbox experience. Do you guys remember back in the day when Jacksepticeye was playing Subnautica, when they were updating the game in early access and he's finished everything that the story survival mode had to offer, and then he would go into creative mode and build all these crazy bases? A lot of people did that, and that was a major appeal for Subnautica before the full release was out and people didn't have anything else to do. But I feel like the creative mode of Subnautica lacked a lot to be desired. This time around, Subnautica 2 will feature a co-op mode where you can play up to 4 friends together. I think the best inspiration they can take is from Minecraft. Minecraft itself has a creative mode which lets you do crazy wacky stuff, but the big appeal of Sandbox also comes in the main survival mode where you can hang out with friends and build giant farms or trading halls. Now I'm not saying Subnautica needs to go the Minecraft direction, but they've already confirmed that they're overhauling the base building features, giving you more complex ways to construct even more complex structures. I hope Unknown Worlds Entertainment understand and realize the appeal and potential of sandbox fun in Subnautica, and what I want the game to do is to make resource farming actually fun and worth it, and a lot of structures be optional. That will make it so you can either go the story route and finish the story and, leave the planet for example like you did in Subnautica 1, or B, you could go on plenty side adventures on your own to build crazy things, alone or with your friends, and have it actually be worth it and appealing in the long run. Again, kind of like how in Minecraft where you can beat the Ender Dragon, but that's not all, not even close. Now I'm not saying the story of Subnautica actually needs to take a backseat for it, it needs to be good as well, but what I'm saying is on top of that, I hope they build upon a fun sandbox experience that you can enjoy with your friends. Imagine having a Subnautica world where you've spent like 100 hours in, and you've built all these crazy structures and tunnels, and maybe, heck, let us build water current highways. You've catered the whole world to your own needs and you're proud of it. Which leads me to number 4, a bigger, deeper, vast world. I know it's a cliche now that video game developers boast about the square mileage of their maps like Ubisoft, where they would have these giant open maps with not a lot of substance in them and it's just, padding and big for the sake of being big. I think Subnautica can actually benefit from something similar. Below Zero saw a lot of people complain how claustrophobic the map felt and it wasn't really that deep. One big appeal of Subnautica is going from one point A to another point B and having a big, deep, vast ocean in the middle, and you're just driving your Cyclops and you look down and you see nothing. I think a lot of people miss how important scale is to give you that sense of vastness and deep alien ocean and the dread that comes with that thalassophobia. Connecting it back to the 4-player co-op mode, more players naturally mean you need a bigger map because each one of you can go into different directions and complete different tasks at the same time. Plus it gives you more space to build, explore, But more importantly, the dead silence and emptiness between spots is very important for a game like Subnautica. Like I said, that is something that'll probably get a lot of shit for in other video games, you know, just open worlds with nothing in them, but I think with Subnautica it'll work in its favor. What more can you want other than a giant ocean full of leviathans and weird kind of creatures and the resources you need to craft? And with some side quests and story stuff sprinkled here and there, they could easily get away with just having a much bigger game world. Now at number 3, I want to talk about something a little different, which is the protagonist and the story. Subnautica 1 and Subnautica Below Zero went in two complete different directions when it came to presenting their story. One had a silent protagonist where the most amount of story you got was from logs and different voice notes and lore you got from scanning the areas. Basically, it worked a lot like other video games like Dark Souls or Hollow Knight, where there is a plot, like you curing the planet and getting off the planet. That is the plot of Subnautica, but the actual story and lore is so much deeper that you can experience at your own leisure. You can go and scan the Degasi ship fragments and listen to what happened to those guys. You can go listen to what happened to all the crewmates, or you can just, you know, rush through it and get the hell off the planet. It's completely up to you. Being a silent protagonist also gives you more feeling of that dread that I love about Subnautica. When your protagonist doesn't yap constantly, it is a lot more scarier. And you can project yourself into their shoes and pretend that you are the one who's on the planet. Below Zero went other routes, which again, some people love it, some people hate it. I'm not saying one is objectively better than the other, but I feel like with Below Zero, it was a lot less replayable because of the talking protagonist and such a focus on such a streamlined story, where in fact some of the big leviathans and scares even felt scripted, as you wouldn't naturally encounter them unless you progress through this tiny tunnel where you're supposed to go. The voice acting can also be a little hit or miss. I know with Below Zero they had a voice actress for the main character and then they couldn't get her back. I really loved her voice for the character. I didn't really like the new one. I didn't think she brought enough to the table like the original one did. Again, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I do believe that Subnautica 2 will benefit from a silent protagonist again and focus on a story direction like Subnautica 1 did, where it's in the background more so and it's up to you to uncover the mysteries of the planet. The setting is completely different for Subnautica 2 as well. As for this one, you're a pioneer who's traveling to distant worlds instead of, you know, being abandoned on a planet or looking for your sister. This kind of storytelling where you're just an explorer who happens to find a planet that isn't really fit for humans unless you alter yourself is very vague in a good way. As with a more focused story like finding your sister in Subnautica Below Zero can be very hit or miss depending on how well they pull off the end twist or the story twists, which I believe they did very poorly. I and a lot of other people were left very dissatisfied with the ending of that story, but you don't run into that problem when the story and the idea, the theme is vague, like stranded on a planet or exploring new planets. That combined again with the fact that they will have a multiplayer mode and you can finish the game that way, I do believe they will go the silent protagonist route and the more vague storytelling route, because how do you tell a more concentrated story when you also have co-op mode without butchering one or the other experience? Which brings me to my point number 2, is the co-op multiplayer mode that I've been talking about whole video. As you know, Subnautica 2 will allow you to play the whole game with your friends. Now this is really cool and a really fun feature, but I do know that me and a lot of other Subnautica fans are praying that this isn't the center stage. I hope the game balance and the storytelling isn't designed around the fact that you need to play it co-op to get the proper experience. I know what you guys are gonna go comment. You're gonna be like, oh, Primacon, co-op is optional. Look, they say right there, co-op is optional. A lot of video games claim that co-op is optional, but it's really not at the end of the day. It is the intended way of you to experience the game that they have created. That's how it's balanced in terms of pacing, story, resources, whatever it is, it's balanced around co-op. And then when you play solo, technically, yes, you can play it without friends, but you won't get the proper experience and it will be a more shittier product for it. And that's what I'm talking about, what a lot of Subnautica fans want, is the actual core gameplay to be focused around single player, with co-op being a cool additional optional add-on that you probably will do in your second playthrough. A really good example of this is Cuphead. Technically, you can play Cuphead with a friend, as Cuphead and Mugman, but you very well can play Cuphead on your own, and I feel like that is the more intended way for you to play the game anyway. I think Subnautica will benefit from something like that more than going the route of like Deep Rock Galactica, for example, where the intended experience is for you to just gather your friends and go mining in the caves and, you know, collect resources that way, and it's a proper co-op game. Yes, you can play Helldivers 2 solo, but that's not the point. It is a co-op shooter that is intended to be played with friends or randoms online to get the proper experience. You know what I mean? So as cool as co-op is, I just hope that single player is still the focus of the developers, and that's how you are intended to actually experience the game for the first time. Because let's be real, finding 3 more friends is probably the hardest challenge you can put upon a gamer. Finally, at number 1, Subnautica 2 needs to bring back a lot of scrapped features and mechanics that the original game couldn't pull off because of its own limitations. We already know they're doing some of it in the form of the gene system. For those of you who weren't around, it was an idea Subnautica 1 had that was scrapped, which is you were able to scan genes of different kinds of creatures and mix and match them. For example, you could put the genes of a reaper into a peeper and have a giant peeper, but then that was scrapped. I know they're bringing that back in one form or the other, but now that Subnautica 2 has actually switched to Unreal Engine 5, and these developers are way more experienced, having been developed Subnautica and Below Zero, and I hope they don't have all the technical limitations and difficulties they did all the way back in 2015 when Subnautica first launched. I hope they can use all of that to bring back more features like terraforming. If you're new to Subnautica, terraforming was a huge appeal for Subnautica when it was first announced in early access. The reason they scrapped it was it just caused too many issues. It made the game run like shit. It caused issues with saving. It was just very glitchy and buggy and stuttery, and at the end of the day, the developers felt that it's not worth the effort. Now hardwares are more capable, they're using Unreal Engine 5, they have experience, and they're doing something as fun as co-op. I feel like they will definitely benefit a lot from bringing back things like building your bases on an actual moving creature. You could build a base on a reef back in the day, or again, terraforming the planet to, you know, make it contort to your own base. Maybe you can build your own tunnel, dig it all the way down to the most bottom layer of the whole planet and put a ladder there. You could do all sorts of crazy stuff. And the fact that they are bringing back at least one of the scrap features gives me hope that they'll bring back some others. Especially being able to build bases on top of creatures. That would be hype. Anyways, those are the top 5 things I think Subnautica 2 needs to get right. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions about it, and I'd love to hear them in the comments below. What do you want to see from Subnautica 2? One thing you absolutely want the developers to focus on and get it just right. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. It helps me out a ton, and I'll see you guys soon with a new video. Primacon signing out.